In this lesson, you will learn how to add alternatives and substitutions to an inventory item. This is useful when you have double booked gear and need to quickly resolve shortages. Open the information page of the inventory item that you want to add alternatives and substitutions to. In this example, we will use the white 16GB iPad that we used in the previous lessons. Let's start with alternatives by clicking on the Alternatives tab. Items that you place into the Alternatives tab should be very similar to the item that they will replace. They can be different brands or different colors, but they will essentially perform just like the item that they will replace. For example, you can replace the white 16GB iPad with a black 16GB iPad. A relationship is created between the two items, and you can see that the white iPad now automatically appears on the Alternatives tab of the black iPad. They can both replace each other. Substitutions, on the other hand, do not have this relationship. Most of the time, you can view substitutions as an upgrade. If we go back to the white 16GB iPad page, let's pull the 32 and 64GB white iPads into the Substitutions tab. As another example, let's see how substitutions might work with the Yamaha LS9 32-channel soundboard. If there aren't enough LS9 32-channel soundboards to fill an order, then they can be substituted by the 48-channel board or the 60-channel board. Now let's see this concept in action. We'll go to a test quote and place two white 16GB iPads. We won't take any of the suggestions at this time. All of our white 16GB iPads are booked on another job right now, and we see a conflict of -2. If we double-click on the conflicts and availability window will open, and we can choose to either transfer, substitute, subrent, or purchase the item. We could use the black 16GB iPad model, which is the same size and price as the white one. But let's say that the customer was very clear about having a white iPad, so in this case, we'll upgrade to the 32GB model. You can choose whether or not to keep the price of the original item. Here we'll say yes because the customer was expecting the price of the 16GB model. So now you can see that the 16GB model has been replaced with the 32GB model. Now let's bring in the Yamaha soundboard. There's a conflict of -1. You can also open the conflicts and availability window by clicking on the cogwheel and clicking conflicts. Let's upgrade to the 48-channel board and keep the price of the original item because the customer only ordered the 32-channel board. So far, we have only used alternatives and substitutions on a 1-to-1 ratio, but you can also use a 1-to-2 or a 2-to-1 or even greater ratio. To demonstrate this, let's open the information page for a 10-foot silver truss. We can add a 10-foot black piece of truss as an alternative. But if the job requires silver truss and you don't have enough 10-foot pieces, we can add 2 pieces of 5-foot silver truss to replace a 10-foot piece. In this case, we will utilize the Notes section to inform the warehouse employees about what's going on. And if you check Auto Note Mute, that means that this note will not appear on the document that you send to the customer. So if we go back to the quote and add 2 10-foot pieces of truss, a conflict is created. We'll open the conflicts and availability window and replace it with the 5-foot pieces. You'll notice that we needed a total of 2 10-foot pieces, so the quantity of the 5-foot pieces automatically updated to 4 to equal the same length. Also notice that the note was automatically generated, but since we checked the Auto Note Mute, the note will not appear on the documents that you send to your customers. If you have any questions about adding alternatives and substitutions for inventory items, please email support@flexrentalsolutions.com.